The following portion of Daytime is brought to you by the Basement Doctor. With a challenging economy, we are all trying to lower our bills, and one way to save money is looking at your basement. On the set with a few tips today is the Basement Doctor, Ron Greenbaum. I know everyone knows who you are. Ron, nice to have you here.
Well, it's great to be here, Gail. It's nice to see you.
People don't often think about the crawl space as part of their basement, but it is a big part of the basement, the part that's not developed.
Absolutely, and it's what a lot of people use for storage and other things, and it can be part of the home if you treat it properly.
This is where people really lose energy, though, because they don't think about that. So how do they lose energy by the crawl space?
Well, half the air that you breathe actually comes from a crawl space or basement. And if you're allowing a lot of air to come in from outside, what will happen is the air changes. So if it's humid air, it'll take your air conditioning about 30% more in terms of being able to cool off your home. And you're really losing a lot of energy that way.
And a lot of crawl spaces are dirt, which I know I don't have a dirt crawl space, but I know there are many, and that has its own set of problems.
Absolutely. It's basically, again, it's dirt that half your house is sitting on, and you're going to get a lot of dampness coming from that after it rains and just the changes of temperature, things like that.
And critters?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
I mean,
one of the
think
things
about that part, but yeah.
Yeah, if you have a lot of spiders coming in your home, you probably have a real damp, wet environment in your crawl space.
So what can people do about that?
Well, we've actually have a great industry that has kind of cropped up over the last, I'd say, 7 or 8 years, and it's called the clean space industry. And what we do is we actually encapsulate the crawl space itself. One of the other things we do...
Encapsulate it how?
Well, we seal it off from the rest of the home using almost like a swimming pool liner.
Oh, okay.
And we seal up any place air can come through. You also take, and there's a product that's on the market called the SaniDry that we install as well, and that lowers the humidity levels in the crawl space.
And how does that work?
Well, it's kind of like a dehumidifier on steroids is the best way to describe that. And actually somebody came up with that here a few years ago because we tried to describe the fact that it's way more efficient than a normal dehumidifier. It actually only costs about 3.5 cents an hour to run.
And we're taking a look at it. And I know the problem I have sometimes with my own dehumidifier is it causes so much heat then. It can, take the humidity out, but then there's a lot of heat that it generates. And you don't want that in the summer especially.
That's correct. And what this does, again, it's maybe going to run a half an hour a day. And it's just so much more efficient than a normal dehumidifier. It'll pull 100 pints of water out compared to, say, 25 to 40 for a regular dehumidifier.
What if you don't have a dehumidifier, either in your basement or crawl space? Well, what can happen?
Well, you're losing most of the energy efficiency, again, in the home. If you can lower your energy costs by even 5% on an average home, over a 10-year period, you could be saving upwards of $50,000.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. I was actually in Baltimore at Johns Hopkins University last week, and they were talking about. They were talking to me actually about mold and mildew and dampness.
That's that could be a real health concern.
Exactly. And then when I explained to them how clean space and a SaniDry work, they said, what you're doing is you're making the homes way more energy efficient, and they found that to be very, very important. And they gave me a table, and it was shocking to me as to how much money you can save that way.
Well, Ron, these are great suggestions. We appreciate you being here, and especially as we're heading into winter, good energy-saving ideas. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Gail. It's great to see you.
When we come back, the preceding segment was brought to you by the Basement Doctor.